Hello and welcome to Onesies, a podcast discussing the finest and not so finest one season wonders of television history. My name's Andrew.
My name's Emily.
And we are working our way through Free Spirit from 1989, aired on ABC. This is our penultimate episode. We were just doing the episode count, and it appears we're going to be missing an episode for going through the season, which just seems to be the way it works when you watch things on ctv.ca. For some reason, they're always missing an episode.
If we're lucky, it's the Dave Coulier episode.
I hope it's not the Brady episode.
We'll see. We will see.
Speaking of guest stars, there aren't going to be any real guest stars discussed this episode. Nobody interesting. I didn't even write down the name of the one guest star because fuck that guy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're going to stick to our 3 items, a person per episode that we will discuss. And so I'm going to start with episode 7, which is the title of which is Two for the Road. And it is about Rob getting his car, or getting a car for his birthday, and Winnie using it too much. So I'm going to say 1665, dribbling, and elk fucking.
Okay. I've got Cal Worthington. I've got basketball, which is probably the same as your dribbling, and classic cars.
It's a good one. So yeah, the basic gist of the episode is it's Rob's 16th birthday, and if you are a white man, your father gets you a car on your 16th birthday. And it opens with Rob jumping into bed with Dad at midnight, and Dad saying, "You weren't born till 8 a.m., so put it off." And then basically Dad gets him a car to share with Winnie for her doing her household chores. And they fight over the car because Winnie becomes a speed demon.
In order to help influence the father into buying Rob a car, Winnie summons a gentleman, big cowboy hat, bolo tie, speaks with a real Southern accent, and just looks like a real sleazy car salesman, which reminds me of Cal Worthington. Here in Southern California, when I lived up in Anchorage, there was a car salesman called Cal Worthington, who by the time I got to know him was a old, wrinkled up old man. But this guy, I swear, is Cal Worthington or inspired by him. I don't know if you are familiar with this gentleman.
I'm unfamiliar. I thought it was a basketball player. I don't know, man. Cal Worthington? That doesn't sound like a basketball player to you.
Well, maybe because I know who Cal Worthington is. The second thing, go ahead. Do you have something else about the dribble and the basketball? Because Winnie gets him a basketball for his birthday.
Yes, which is the only time Rob has shown any interest in athletics, I believe.
Yes.
But yes, she gets him a basketball, and then I think, does Dad make fun of her, like not being able to play sports because she's a girl, but then she like dribbles it up? No?
The son does. Rob does.
Oh.
Rob's like, "Hey, I'd love to play, but I'd hate to embarrass you."
So then a stunt dribbler comes in and wearing a Winnie wig dribbles it up.
Yeah, I'm shocked how much hair she has, but the wig on that stand-in is even bigger somehow.
Yep.
But it's a really obvious gag. You never see the face, right? It's always just kind of twirling around, and the wig is always right in the way. I loved that. I thought that was super funny. And then she spins the ball like a globetrotter on her finger until it like smokes. I loved that.
Yep.
That was so silly. But Rob ends up getting the car. And my third point is, who the hell buys their kid A classic car.
Thank you. And how the hell did that car survive like that in Connecticut?
Well, I'm from Michigan, and I know a lot of people who are classic car people, and they put a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of work into keeping cars looking new, like brand pristine new. And then they take them to car shows. So Thomas kind of explains this away like, oh, it's an investment. And it's like, why are you giving it to a 16-year-old then? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And I don't think any classic car person would knowingly sell their car to a man who's going to give it to their kid. No. I don't think that's a thing, unless I guess they're selling something like a new sports car that they've, made it not roadworthy type. That's the only way, unless they're going to try to take advantage of a rich person, which I guess could be the case. But Thomas doesn't seem that rich. He was getting.
It's Connecticut, so he's a WASP in Connecticut. So if you're not in the club, maybe you're like, well, fuck this guy. Let's put sawdust in it or whatever. But that also the 1665 thing I mentioned was her license.
Right.
She has to magic up a license to show Thomas, and it's got a typo. It says her birthday 1665. But that's not a typo. So, but also the fingers are back this episode. Right. That's my next note after the license is the fingers. So we're going to see more fingers. We're going to be talking about the fingers all episode. Little 2-finger. So magic cast is back.
Audience, if you can't see us, which you can't, I hope. God, I hope I'm editing this right.
That'd be so weird. Yeah.
Point your fingers out, 2 fingers out straight in front of you, like you're pointing at something, and then wiggle them up and down, and you're doing the fingers. So Winnie kind of goes a little road wild, and she takes the car, and Rob never gets to get it. But she's again is summoning. Maybe it's just she's so inspired because she loves how fast it can go, and she loves how cool it looks, because it is a cool car, let me tell you. She starts fixing it up herself. She's boiling spark plugs at some point, and she's, under the hood. I guess I have a fourth one is Winnie's butt. Do you remember? Thomas comes in,
slapping,
slaps her on the butt, but
because he thinks it's Rob.
He thinks it's Rob. I thought that was kind of gross, and also, Rob is so much taller than Winnie. Even though she's wearing those coveralls, I would think he would be able to tell the difference.
Thomas is a dipshit. He's sort of. Some of this show, the problem is, I mean, we'll talk about some observations later about the characters, but Dad's a dipshit, like way too much of a dip, like to the point you're like, it's being mean to the actor. You're like, this guy had to work, like he had to like get here, like he probably did dinner theater and shit, like, and now he's just the butt of like the worst jokes from like jackass kids. But one of the things about the Winnie's plot is it actually is her, like, even though it's all about Rob in the end, it is the only time that Winnie like gets a character arc. And that's like one of the big things about this show is she's rich. She is just the housekeeper. She's Alice from the Brady Bunch. Like she doesn't get anything more to do. We're not getting into what it's like being a 300-year-old witch come to life in Connecticut. Like, nope, it's all about the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about her interaction with the kids. And they had been teasing maybe a relationship between Winnie and Thomas, but I just don't see it. I don't even see any chemistry, to be honest.
No.
I mean, she is very cute and charming and whatever, but she's very easy. She's very easy to brush off anything that's that is even remotely romantic. I guess except for those early episodes, but even now, like anytime you think that they're going to flirt or that he says something nice about her, she's just very I don't want to say naive, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe she just doesn't take hints well. I'm the same way, so I understand that.
Or just dismissive because she knows he's a dipshit. Like,
and she's a witch and he's a human, and it can never be. Maybe. And she's engaged apparently. So if we get to that episode.
No, did you watch ahead again?
I didn't watch ahead again. No, but I've read the plots, Andrew, on Wikipedia.
So anyway, at the end, there's this whole thing about how like she stays out too long and everybody freaks out about her.
Yeah.
And when she comes back with the Cantonese food, I thought it was actually going to be a Superman 2 reference where she went to China to get the Chinese food.
I thought that too.
Because I'm like, she's magic. Why doesn't she just, bedknobs and broomsticks that fucking thing around the globe? Yeah. But no, she just drove to a different town and got Chinese instead of pizza. And then she has a monologue about driving, and it inspires Thomas to take the kids out for a drive. And that's where we get to my final point of elk fucking. They see elks fucking, and it's a joke. And it's just like everything in this show. And you gave me, and it's going to get even worse as we go on. And you gave me shit about this when I sent you those Urkel memes, where it's all about Urkel being nasty to Laura.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's just, the joke is it's kids being sexually inappropriate. And it's like, this show is sexually inappropriate jokes around kids. And then,
kids making sexually.
We'll get to Gene, the sexual fucking predator, in a bit. Like, not great. Like, it's just.
No, I'm not one, like, obviously I take things with a grain of salt when revisiting old things. I said last week, we're watching Night Court. It's shocking what they got away with. This show is exactly the same. I try not to judge things by modern standards, but just the fact that there's so much kids making sexual jokes, like Gene as a 10-year-old making these jokes, which we'll get to later. We'll get to it later. I'm sorry. I'm going on a tear. I just find it shocking that some parent let their son read the script and be like, yeah, my son can pretend to go to a porno theater. I don't know. Don't
spoil the next episode.
Sorry.
Also, there's, because this actually comes up that there's these kind of gay jokes starting in this episode with a French chef. He zaps a French chef in and he kisses Rob on the cheeks, and Rob makes some comment about it. And then it comes up again later where he says it to his dad, where he's like, some Frenchman kissed me.
Yeah.
And dad's confused. Like, that second joke was okay. The first one, I was like, and we're going to see another one in the next episode where I'm just like, we're doing the subtle gay jokes because, we ran out of, girls need to, 10-year-old Whitty needs to magic boobs on a 10-year-old girl so Gene can get his
tiny little rocks off. Ugh, I love that face. Ugh. I love that I made you make that face. That makes me happy.
Shit. What else? I don't know. Like, there's in theory, the stuff with the family caring about Winnie should be good, but it's sort of like comes off controlling and dismissive of her as an independent agent, which the show is. So.
Yeah. But to be fair, they did expect her to come back pretty quickly with pizza, and she.
It is her job, after all.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because she's so taken with this car, and she's neglecting her duties, including, in this case, making dinner. So, I don't know. Poor Winnie. She just wants to feel the wind in her hair, I guess. She can't do that. She doesn't get the same feeling with a broom.
Also, there's a Pittsburgh joke, which
Yeah, I guess that was before Pittsburgh kind of became a hip place.
yeah, I mean years before that, but it's a thing that comes up a lot in a certain era is you shit on Pittsburgh because I don't know. That's what people in Connecticut do.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for that one?
That's all I
I'm
had.
sorry
Yeah.
we're not more enthused because next episode,
This one, yeah, this one is going to be good.
Not with my sister, you don't. Give us your 3.
So my 3 for this is the MPAA rating system, Bear Country, and No Means No.
Okay. I will do. Well, I was going to do Bear Country, but let's see. How about So Proud of Their Attempted Rapist? Put It in My Diary, and I guess we'll just do Leapfrog so I can, because I already brought it up. So
Okay.
All right.
So the plot of this episode is that Jesse has a date with an older boy, and she and Winnie have to convince Dad to let her go out on this date. I guess to kind of lay out the beginning of it, the kid in question ends up being the son of a judge who Thomas knows as a lawyer. There was a funny joke. A judge, isn't that what a lawyer wants to be when he grows up? I thought that was really funny.
Yep.
And so Winnie convinces Thomas to let Jesse date this boy because he's the son of a judge, somebody that Thomas respects. And, a child is a product of their upbringing after all. So Jesse goes out on the date with the boy, but Thomas takes the opportunity to then go out to dinner with the judge and his wife. And so Winnie and Jean and Rob go see a movie together. So those are kind of the plot lines that are going on that will converge at the end.
Yep. And so let's just talk about the movie since it's actually not that long of a subplot. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So the boys convince her that she shouldn't just take. Okay, what do you want to do?
No, I was going to talk about the rating system.
Go for it.
So they're discussing movies to go see, and they're looking in the newspaper as one used to do to find a movie. And G means it's a good movie. PG, and this is what I thought was cute because it was so precocious. Gene says means particularly good. He didn't go for pretty good. He went for particularly
better.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
R is really good. So Rob is totally just dropping out the G part of it.
Yeah.
And then X is excellent. I thought that was really funny. I thought it was really silly, but I particularly liked the particularly good from Gene because it's a precocious little kid thing, and precocious little kid things always make me laugh.
So they convince Winnie to take them to see Bear Country, which I am going to assume was spelled Bare and not Bear, because since this episode aired, I feel like more people are aware of
gay subculture.
Of gay subculture and bears, because if this episode is really about them all going to see a gay porn and Rob loving what he saw, it's a lot more progressive than I feel like Free Spirit is.
And I didn't even think so, because I'm a little slow. I didn't even think about the alternative spelling of it. 1 and 2. I watched this episode twice. The first run through, I didn't even catch that they're going to see like that. I am plugged into the gay community, maybe more than the average person. I didn't even catch it until the second viewing. And I was like, wait a minute, Bear Country X-rated? What is this? And there's like, it goes unmentioned. So I think you're right. I think maybe there was an alternative spelling. And for whatever
Bare,
and for whatever reason, it didn't raise any flags to Winnie, and it didn't raise any flags to Dad.
Well, because everybody thinks it's a nature film,
right?
So, including the judge. So that's cool. But the first movie they're going to go see was called Nurses on Call, and I'm just like, I remember 1989, and I don't remember the movies that ended up on Cinemax and Showtime and USA Up All Night edited. They did not play in the theaters.
Yeah.
Like, you did not have to release them in the theaters for Academy eligibility. Like, they just appeared on television at some point or on video. Like,
did you grow up in Connecticut, though? Maybe there are particular groups of people in Connecticut who insist on having those movies playing in the theaters.
Well, they're actually quick bit of trivia. One of those USA Up All Night movies is called Stewardess School, and it stars Brett Cullen, who eventually was in stuff, but it took him years to take off. And there's a really funny note in like the Leonard Maltin guide that was like, somehow a real studio thought this was a good idea to produce this movie, and then like quickly learned it wasn't, but it was just like, 1987.
I was pretty impressed with your knowledge of this Stewardess School, just seemingly off the top of your head until you got to the Leonard Maltin part, and I was like, oh, he read a Leonard Maltin book, and that's how he knows about it. I thought maybe you were
capsule. It's the capsule book. Thank you very much. So I had to search it out and find it. Also, it co-stars the wife from the Three's Company spinoff.
Oh,
which was of note when I was a child, because I thought that was going to continue. Oh. I thought that Three's a Crowd would someday come back on television and I would see more of it, but I never did.
Let's get a script together. Netflix is right down the street from me. Let's do it.
John Ritter's kid's still alive. This is just dark. Okay. So yes, so they go to the porno, and Winnie figured it out, but not until after Rob got into to see a bit of it. And so
what remind me what the excuse is for Gene not getting, I mean, obviously, like what the show's excuse for Gene not getting in is, because he seemingly didn't get to see it at all. And of course you shouldn't let a 10-year-old into an X-rated movie. And he looks like he's about 7. So,
because I mean, assuming that they don't show the X-rated movies at the regular Cineplex there, you would think it would look weird when Winnie showed up with 2 kids. So, but no, I didn't write down what
he gives he says something like, oh man, I wish I had gotten in, but it doesn't.
I don't remember why he didn't. Yeah, like Winnie figured it out in time. Maybe. It doesn't sound like Rob got to sit down and start pee-weeing it.
No.
So, but at that point, we've already established that even though Winnie convinced Thomas that a judge's son, that a white Republican 16-year-old boy is going to be a stand-up kid, we've established that the boy Chip has started, he's come up with a way to get Jessie home alone, and it's about time for her to start putting out. So
it's the old I lost my wallet trick. Oh, must have fallen out while I was in your house.
Couch. Let's just stay here. And then pretty quickly, when they realize what's going on, Winnie and the boys, because they see the car in the driveway. And did you notice they weren't driving the convertible, right? Like,
No,
yeah,
no, I
there's
don't think they were.
no car continuity, unfortunately.
Yeah, the car, I don't think will ever come back. We'll never see it again. That beautiful, beautiful car.
So we get Rob being protective for a bit, and then Winnie's also going to be protective. And I mean, I was hoping that there would be some comeuppance for the attempted rapist. There's not really. It's a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot about it, how much his parents love him and how great he is. So, all right, let's just do it. So they get there and Winnie turns the kid into a chimp. It's a 10-minute spell or a 12-minute spell.
15, I think.
15. But then the parents get back early. So they've got to hide this chimp in the house until he changes back into the kid. And so there's a bunch of jokes from Gene about how like he wishes he had a chimp for a brother. And like, that's better than Rob. And I'm like, okay, so Rob is a shitty kid, but like literally everyone in the house just makes a joke about what a piece of shit he is all the time.
All the time.
Like Rob's just a, dumb piece of shit all the time.
Jesse calls him a jerk all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
But he is a jerk to her.
And they always make jokes. They always make jokes about how kind of dumb he is. And there's one of those in the next episode.
Yeah. Oh
no, there's one in this episode too. They said, my son wants to be a DA someday. And Gene says, that's funny. Rob's going to be a defendant.
Yes, that's right. And I'm like, no, he's not. Like, what are you talking about? That guy's never getting busted for raping a girl at college. What do you mean? No,
he might, but he's not going to get prosecuted by that judge.
Well, 1991, his college didn't do anything about it. Like, it kicked her out. What are you talking about? Girls in college, please. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a bunch of scenes with the judge and his wife who are just like, there's some jokes about how like he never wants to make the beast with two backs anymore and stuff like that. And you're just like, okay.
And the wife is openly flirting with Thomas. I mean, there's the joke where the chimp is between them on the ground under the table, and they still don't know that he's there.
She was just being friendly.
She's playing footsie with the ape, and the ape is then the chimp is like rubbing Thomas's leg.
I missed that.
Yeah, you totally missed it.
Footsie. I thought it was just the ape rubbing the leg. So there you go. Thomas is, another. We've already seen that he might do well taking care of the ladies of small town Connecticut. But yeah, he's not interested because, he's clueless.
He's clueless.
Yep. You
gotta get the jugs out. That's how Thomas knows.
So another thing I noticed in the episode is they never tell Thomas that the judge's son tried to assault his daughter.
No.
Because Winnie feels guilty for speaking out in defense of Jesse getting to date. Yeah. So because Winnie's wrong, they're never going to tell Thomas.
Yeah.
And instead he and the dad are going to be friends.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the son does agree after his experience being turned into a chimp once he turns back that maybe military school is a good idea for him, which again begs the question, why are you obsessed with your son if you think he needs to go to military school? Generally speaking, if you think somebody needs to go to military school, it's because you think they need discipline and they need a controlled environment. And that does not sound like something you do to a perfect angel child that they seem to be treating him like. I found it pretty depressing that he seemingly gets away with it, even though he seemingly is rethinking his life. I will say I liked Jesse's. She was really good at pushing him away. Again, it's that the child is the product of their environment, right? And Thomas is fine. He trusts her. He trusts that she's not going to do anything wrong. And you see that trust in the way she reacts to the kid. She keeps trying to redirect. Oh, maybe we should go bowling. maybe we should leave. We shouldn't be here. This doesn't feel right. So she does great.
Yeah, it was actually like, that was like the most devastating moment where it was like, dude, can we just like hang out? I thought we were going to hang out.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, we're going to.
Yeah. And he pulls that, if you're not going to make out with me because you want to protect your reputation, you better rethink that, because I'm telling everybody we did, whether we do or not. And it was like, you fucking bastard. What an asshole. I mean, it is just making out, but I'm also, an older person now. And if I had the opportunity to make out with a hottie like that, I might have taken advantage of it. But that's me and my choice, and not her and her choice.
So, and I mean, the way they cop out of having to address it with Thomas is Winnie pauses him with the magic fingers, and
they try to figure out a shore story. Why is the chimp here? Why is the chimp here? And then they get distracted because they're all hungry, because nobody got to go to the movies and eat popcorn, go to dinner and eat whatever, go to the bowling alley and have chicken wings or whatever you have at a bowling alley. So they're all hungry. So they go into the kitchen and then they come out later. And somehow Jessie saying, good night, Dad, I love you, or whatever she says, wakes him up out of his spell.
Yes.
Or maybe it's a timed thing and we just happen to see it.
But that was also after we have a resolution where Jessie thanks Rob for being a good brother for once. Oh, yeah. And then we find out that he's actually reading her diary, which the episode introduces at the beginning. And this was, I think, in the pilot, that Rob regularly reads her diary and tells Jean all about it, because girls, in addition to being silly and stupid, don't deserve any privacy.
Yeah.
So that was a nice way to ruin a potentially like sincere moment.
Yeah. Like, and he was kind of acting in good faith when he was, except with the exception that everything he said, he's saying to a chimp.
Yeah.
Everything he says, there's no recognition that what the kid is doing is wrong, because the kid has been turned into a chimpanzee.
Yep.
Which I love cute animals. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sure I'm on board with the trend of having trained animals on TV shows, trained monkeys doing things.
And this one did not look enthusiastic either. Like, this chimp was not like, it had to do something once and it was like very reluctant about it. Like, it was not an energetic chimp.
Yeah, I was kind of looking around like, can I be done now? So I thought maybe there would be this moment of recognition with Rob that he also does that kind of behavior, and that maybe he should cool it because it's the wrong thing to do, but see it from the perspective of that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's sister, that's somebody's whatever. I mean, that's the easiest way to kind of get men to think about doing the right thing, is to think about their relationship with people instead of just the sister, instead of just Jessie as a human being deserving the rights. She's my sister. This other girl that I'm chasing after is somebody's sister. That's the easiest way to kind of appeal to men, is protecting their property, right?
But there's none of that. So
there's none of that.
There's none of that.
There's none of that.
Nope. There's no heartfelt moment where Thomas and Rob and Jean all talk about how maybe like they should be approaching women differently than they do on this show. Nope. They just skirt over it with a chimp and a paused dad. Like, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
But not surprising. Like,
yeah.
And then I did my leapfrog thing, was the slight little gay joke at the beginning where Gene's selling his sandwiches or something at lunch, or for some reason he gives another kid his lunch, not bullying. And then Winnie wrote Gene a note that says, I love you in the sandwich, which is actually like really sweet and shows more development in any of her relationships with the kids than we've had in this bunch of episodes. And then Gene's like, no wonder, Gus looked at me funny and didn't want to do leapfrog at Jim. And I'm just like, I mean, there's so many issues with that. Like, not like, just like the logic part of it. Like, this kid doesn't think it's a note. Like he thinks it's a note from Gene to him.
Yeah.
And
not from Gene's housekeeper to
right, or his mom or something. Like whatever. And it's just like it was not a good opening joke. And then we get right away into the diary shit, and you're just like,
yeah.
Well, the other thing is that it turns out Dad was right about the kid the whole time. And there's that everything Jesse, like, you can't actually trust Jesse's judgment of people because she's going to get tricked. And Winnie's not,
of this world. So she might not know.
Also, Winnie could have like magicked some shit, right? Like, not just that. She could have magicked them into the house. She could have magicked the car into the house, because last episode we established she can transport people and she can make objects levitate like cars. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I just felt like the show feels like the magic shit gets added last after misogyny. And it's like, okay, I get that it's the 80s. Can we just put the magic before the misogyny, right? Yeah. Like you can keep the misogyny, but like at least make the magic make sense. But
no. And I thought the same thing about the next episode. I thought it was
all right. So I actually am going to start it off, right? Because you did the next one. Oh God, this one was just High karate. I took it. I'm sorry. I'm going to just do WandaVision because you haven't seen it, and that way I won't step on another one of yours. And then Magic Amy some curves.
Gross. Okay. I'm going to do 50s TV, just maybe a little bit broader because I have questions. I'm going to do family heirlooms, and I'm going to do magic closet.
Okay. I just saw a note that I made. New tongue in town. Yeah, I think that actually will fit into Magic Amy some curves. But so the episode starts with a riff on like the Donna Reed show, down to them using the Donna Reed opening, right?
Yeah.
And so this was 1989. This was after Nick at Night had started. It was like sort of before Nick at Night was.
This was where I was going with Nick at Night with 50s TV is. I don't know anything about TV before that, really, like in terms of showing reruns. But I remember watching Nick at Night when I was a kid. Yeah. And I loved it. It. And looking back at it, I've watched some of those shows more recently, and it's terrible, obviously. But my big thing was this obsession with sort of whether or not there was still this obsession with kind of this wholesome nuclear family lifestyle, because that's what is motivating Winnie in this, right? In this episode, her particular motivation is being Donna Reed. And it opens with her watching TV while she's ironing. And then she says she's making a cake or something, and she's ironing at the same time, but she's using her magic to iron. She's like, "Oh, Donna, can't you do more than one thing at a time?" And then she magics the ironing to happen, which again is sort of like, I was just wondering why she wasn't doing that in the first place, why we had to watch the fingers and why we didn't just like open on the ironing just being done, Fantasia style, sweeping, all this stuff happening. But
budget and bad writing.
Writing.
Okay.
But then Thomas comes in and you only see the iron kind of magically moving by itself for about 5 seconds. And Winnie realizes what's happening, and she has to grab the iron and let it move her arm very wildly. That's kind of the opening joke before she can use her fingers to stop it. So I was just kind of confused by the whole 50s TV thing. Obsession, I guess. Not the Donna Reed. I mean, she's not his wife.
Nope. And so there's also I didn't write down all the kids' names.
Chip, Bubbles, not Bubbles.
They can't be Chip. Was it? Because that was the name of the fucking attempted rapist from last episode.
Oh, maybe not.
Good job, Winnie. But so she.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think
Okay.
it was. Maybe I'm just remembering the Chip.
I remember Scooter for the younger one, but yeah, I didn't. So she imagines herself in a black and white sitcom with the kids being like.
Oh, I got it. It's what did you say Gene was?
Scooter,
Muffin, and Butch. Those are the imaginary kids. Butch. Maybe it was Bear Country.
That's Rob.
Maybe it was Bear Country.
Not Jesse, by the way. So there you go.
Maybe it was Bear Country.
And so, yeah, and they have Dad. And the funny thing is, they actually made Dad's hair worse, which was incredible. Because when he first comes on, I was like, oh, is his shitty mullet going to look better slicked back? And I was like, no, it does not look better slicked back. But that actually... The whole thing of the framework with the 50s show thing is it sort of like removes character development for Winnie. Like it like compartmentalizes it as a bit as opposed to it being about her being more part of the family, right? Like, so there's also the jokes about like Winnie getting a raise. Or not jokes, but she's going to get a raise, and they make a joke about how if he has another kid, she'll get 50 more.
No, she makes that joke.
She makes that joke? Okay.
Yeah. She asks for 20, and he said, oh, maybe if I have another kid. And she goes, well, she's like, she's like, nah, I can't help you with that unless you want to make it 50. And it was like,
boom.
Oh,
$30 for a baby. That's how much they cost in 1665, right? Like,
I guess.
So, and then they call it the happiest house in the free world at some point.
That was in one of the kind of fantasy sequences. But keep in mind, we're still in the Cold War in 89. So,
yep. And then we skip to the main plot, which is Gene wants to go to a party. And he wants to impress the girls at this party. So Winnie helps him with his outfits, which we did not write down, but...
So I had magic wardrobe in mine.
Oh, okay. I thought you said magic closet, and I thought it was going to be a throwback to the first episode when she cleaned his room.
No, maybe
she can't do it anymore.
No, maybe I did say magic closet. But so yeah, a couple of things. One, what 10-year-old is going to a party? I maybe went to birthday parties when I was a kid, but it certainly wasn't co-ed. Because I think when you're 10, like boys still have cooties, girls still have cooties, whatever.
He's out for the little women, as they say.
So gross. But he can't find anything to wear. So he comes in wearing a little button-down shirt and a tie and khakis and asking Winnie for help. And she stands him in front of a mirror and magics him some outfits, none of which really are suitable. Well, I forget what the first one is. The second one is a suit of armor, because women like gentlemen, right? Women like chivalry. So take that literally. And then the third one is like a hip hop outfit, let's say, for lack of a better word. Oh, the first one is like a muscle tank and sweatpants. And he's got like a barbell that he can't hold up. That's right. And then the last one is this like slimy 90s. Like I imagine, what's his name in Northern Exposure wearing it? Like a mock turtleneck, a vest, and like slacks.
Yep.
And he looks pretty sharp. So she's using her magic for good, and it makes it fun. But it reminded me of Clueless in Cher's closet with her computer putting outfits together. But less fun than that, because I thought the share closet thing was super fun when I was a teenager.
But then the accessory Gene needs is his great-grandfather's watch, which
follows my next point, heirlooms. Who would leave a family heirloom like that just sitting out, especially when it becomes established you've had to tell the kid not to touch it before. So put it the fuck away.
Dipshit dad would leave it out. And then he would blame Winnie for not cleaning it up. So, yeah, the watch, Gene wants to bring it because great-grandpa used it to hypnotize women because Rufinol hadn't been invented yet.
Spanish fly had. But yeah, I thought that was pretty gross. And also, like, at what point do you tell your kid, like, you can't take that literally? Like, he didn't literally hypnotize women with his watch.
But instead, he's going to wear that high karate cologne, which it's a weird, like, dated 80s dad joke. Like, they're like, ooh, high karate. And the kid's like, didn't they have to stop making this? And dad's like, it's a collector's item. And I'm just like, ooh, so dad's like a cologne hipster. Cool. Like,
and he says something like, you know, what I imagine the commercial would say. You know, he does his kind of racist karate pose, and his hi-ya, and
with accompanying music. There's a lot of music this episode, actually.
And says, oh, you'll have to fight the women off, which I imagine is the tagline in the commercial. And I was like, ugh. But I was really disappointed that there wasn't like a Charles Bronson or like Steven Seagal reference or something, because that sounds exactly like if it was a Japanese commercial for a cologne, Charles Bronson would be in it.
Right.
And he would be doing some
awesome.
Crazy, yeah. He would be awesome.
Japanese commercials of the 80s and 90s were amazing. But anyway, it's like the Super Bowl every day. Yeah, so then Gene breaks the watch after Dad tells him to use the clone instead. And there is the most amazing special episode music cue. And they have it after the commercial break, too. It's like, that. It was loud, and it's just like, dun, 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 dun. Gene's in trouble. Ugh. And then they come back and Winnie fixes it. So everything's okay. And then Gene goes downstairs to tell the other kids that, like, he's got a high life because he's got a witch in his house. And does Rob say that? Rob definitely says that thanks to, you know, with Gene looking so sharp, there's a new tongue in town because late days. And that we're all using Winnie around here, and they're high off the witch. And Winnie overhears them. And so that's also where there's the magic Amy some curves thing that Gene wants a 10-year-old girl with some titties. It's actually surprising he doesn't ask Winnie to do. But
well, he's already asked Winnie to clean his room again. He's already asked Winnie to fix the watch. He might be high on the witch, but maybe he does recognize limits.
There was a comment that she's older than dust.
Yes.
Too. Yes.
Yeah. Because he comes in going, oh, I love Winnie so much, and Jesse does the why don't you marry her?
Because she's too old.
Yeah, she's old as dust.
So then Winnie feels guilty, and does she tell Thomas she doesn't want the raise or something?
Yeah.
But then she magics the watch broken again. And so now Gene gets grounded, and he tells Winnie how much he hates her. And she's like, but I'm trying to educate you like it's the Donna Reed show, and you're going to learn morals. And I was like, did the boys actually learn anything on Donna Reed?
I don't remember.
I don't know if they did. So, yeah. And then it's basically just about Winnie and Dad have a parenting scene where they talk about how hard it is to parent, and like things get a little like Jean forgives her because kids forgive you after you punish them or whatever. And then but I mean, Jean's a little fucking shit is what he is.
He's a total shit in this. He was a total shithead. I didn't actually have too much else to say about it. He was a little jerk, and poor Winnie is discovering that she's being taken advantage of. And again, that's sort of the magic isn't just something that she could do. It's not like part of who she is and what she does. It's something that the kids can take advantage of.
Yeah. And I guess that's why the Donna Reed opening and that like sort of framing is so like it gets rid of this idea that there's any character development for Winnie.
Yeah.
Because like when she finds out that the kids are taking advantage of her, like that's a big surprise. And it's like, haven't you been watching this show? Like episodes 3 through 8 all showed the kids taking advantage of you too. Like,
yeah. So I kind of felt bad for Winnie. She had some good moments though. I thought she and Jean at the beginning, before he turned into it, well, before you saw what a shit he was, they had some cute moments with the sandwich, with the cleaning of the room. Just the two of them had a really good chemistry. It really felt like they worked well together. And I just think, I don't know, Corinne Bohrer, I just love her. She just had really good reaction moments. And when Jean kind of made a cute pouty face, she kind of like, you could see her actually melting at this dorky little kid.
Yeah.
But other than that, she's just a witch who's being taken advantage of.
Yep. She's just a housekeeper witch being taken advantage of.
That's kind of disappointing. Well, hopefully we'll have some better episodes next week, and hopefully I'll be less crummy. I feel crummy today.
Yes. So that's because you watched too much of Free Spirit.
I didn't. I didn't even watch ahead. I promise.
Yeah. So yeah. At this point, I'm like, I feel like we've seen enough of this to realize that they're not going to figure this out. Like, not even enough to get it through a full season, which
is too bad, because I feel like up until this point, we've found a lot of really good stuff.
Yes, we did previously, but this one, when I was watching the last one, I'm like, the problem is that the boys they're just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing redeeming about them whatsoever. Like, and anytime there's the opportunity for it, they're like, nah, we don't need to do that. And it's just like, well then, I mean, Allison Hannigan had the party episode, and then she sort of had a minute of agency in the date episode. But otherwise, she's just there for them to make fun of. Like,
it's to pick on.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of like, I don't know. I don't get who the target audience is. Teen boys, maybe, because like, who else are they catering to? But then also, like, why the fuck would you watch this?
If you were a teen boy, and please forgive me, Corinne, it seems like they'd have like a sex bomb witch.
I was gonna say it seems like it'd be a Weird Science adaptation. Before they did make Weird Science, but yeah. So no, it just, not sure how they got ABC to pick it up. Maybe it was easier to get sitcom off the ground in '89. Like,
maybe.
So yes, next episode. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna do the same thing. We don't know what we're watching for next time because we don't know what we have access to right now.
Well, supposedly we are watching The New Secretary, Radio Nights, Black. Well, no, these are definitely.
Okay.
I'm reading the episodes we do have, not the wiki.
Gotcha.
So, New Secretary, Radio Nights, Blast from the Past, and Love and Death.
Okay.
So, cool.
So we'll get to see the Bradys.
Are they in one of those?
Mm-hmm. They're in the New Secretary, the next one.
Excellent.
You're gonna be
I'm
watching it.
Thrilled because this is Brady's era Brady's, so we can talk about some Brady's.
And we get to see the Dave Coulier.
Big sigh. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.